Wilder. I got the water and I got the cheap Mullen blend. I gotta admit, I always try like different versions of these, but I don't know. I can never say that I feel like I'm effectively getting any type of help or reaction or whatever from these. So, but these are Jones they got in Whole Foods. Sometimes I feel like they just kind of overdo it with the alcohol part because no matter how much you shake it up, all the different types of these that I try, it's always a bit of an alcohol punch that you can really tell. Like tinctures we make at home or tinctures I get from people who like, your KTs and your Inkies and and I got other people that are nice with it too in the Philly area, but it usually doesn't have that strong of an alcohol punch. So I don't know. Them Whole Foods blends. The only one that I could say that I'm probably okay with is maybe the bitters, but even though the bitters are okay and I feel like they work, I always get better bitters from people who do what they do, right? Not the store bought stuff. Right. What else we keep in here that's classic? I showed this to y'all before. I keep the green stuff around. Google what's going on. The KT Omega 3 greens. Keep that around in the car. And one other thing I keep in the car, and I've been using this for years. Something that I would say is store bought and is excellent. Um, Blue Star. You usually got to get it. Let me see if I get that glare off of there. You usually got to get it like over the counter. But I think Blue Star ointment is the truth. Been using this one of those classic through the years kind of thing. It's pretty cool. But yeah, what's going on, peoples? If y'all in the crowd say what's up. I know it's extra early. I'm out here doing some light laundry and then I'm gonna go get my drive on in a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of Uber before I link up with brother George. And if you guys seen on the Urban Nerds, I'm teaching a couple of kids how to do some video editing. I already showed one of them how to set up the camera and the lights and the green screen and all that. So yeah, we're in that moment right now. How would you compare C3 and Ocean Steak? Those two are not the competitors to me. To me, it would be Blue Magic and C3. But if I don't did I ever order Ocean Steak? Nah, I never ordered Ocean Steak. So I don't know, but I don't feel like C3 would be compared to Ocean Steak. I feel like it would be compared to Blue Magic. And between the two of them, I can tell there's a better flavor with C3 because it's more like it's like a clove spice, which I'm a big fan of clove. Um, Whenever I remember in the past when I had a toothache, I learned that clove was the numbing agent. And if you concentrated, the numbing like lasts a little bit longer. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, in terms of the look, the presentation, and the flavor, C3. If we're talking about the amount of ingredients, the color, like which is really interesting, and I'd say yeah, just the ingredients, the color, the vitamin D content, that would be the Blue Magic. So adding that lichen in there for the D3 is that was pretty genius right there. But between the two, when you put them both in hot water, they definitely both. It's not a huge. I mean, you would have to add quite a bit to get it, but they both make they do structure the water to a good extent. They create you could taste like a gelling effect in the water, and probably if I add more to the water, I'll see more of the gelling effect. But yeah, it definitely gels up. And even though the Blue Magic has a very strong purple color, if you put like a whole tablespoon of that in water and stir it up, it damn near disappears. It kind of makes the water look like foggy, but the water gets thicker. So that's how you could tell it's gelling the water, which is a good thing, which is a proper hydration tool because you don't want, like I tell people all the time, standard water is good for cleansing, but even when you need to be hydrated, standard water does not hydrate instantly. IVs ice hydrate instantly because they go right into the bloodstream. So whatever you put in your body, it has to go directly into the bloodstream in order for it to hydrate quickly. So when you drink water, you're talking about 15 to 30 minutes before it gives a hydration to your body, and slow metabolism is probably damn near an hour. But when you get an IV, it goes right in the bloodstream, so it's instant hydration. Not to mention that most people hydrate with water alone. The reason that it takes a little bit longer sometimes to hydrate you is because you have to balance water out with the sodium levels and stuff like that. Oh, Blue Star ointment is great for skin conditions. Back in the day, I remember we used to jump around on old mattresses and shit like that. So you would get ringworms. Sometimes you would get skin rashes from being around poison ivy and stuff. You rub that on. I watched the ringworm go away in literally 4 hours. Like you see that, John, you think you just itching, and then you see it get bigger, and you be like, oh snap! You rub that John on there, and you wait for a couple of hours, it cuts in half. The next day, that John is gone. So Blue Star ointment has got the let's see, what if they put the ingredients on here? You know, they like to show you like active stuff. They like see it's got camphor in it. So they love to show you the active ingredients. Anti-itch, obviously, other stuff. Benzoic acid, linolene oil, methyl silicate, mineral oil, paraffin wax, petrolatum. Those are like for the consistency. Aloe oil extract and salicylic acid. Um, I don't think this is a new formula. Yeah, same original formula, but yeah, the camphor is the active ingredient. But yeah, good stuff. This is a good thing that it's like having iodine around. The topical, I'm sorry. Yeah, the topical iodine, the one you rub on burns and rash and what is it? I wouldn't say rashes, like, but skin things like burns, cuts, stuff like that. There's that iodine, and then there's the other iodine which you ingest. So the one you ingest is Lugol's iodine. But yeah, for skin stuff, I always like having like if it all went to hell tomorrow and it was the zombie apocalypse and I was in the store, best believe I would grab this, acetaminophen, um, charcoal, sand, oxygen containers, water purifying containers, meaning like those pumps. I forgot the name of them. I got like three of them at home, but the ones where you can like draw it out of like the dirtiest water and squirt it back in and it'll filter up to like 1,000 cups of water. But yep, yeah, it's good. It's definitely good stuff. Old school bath soap with some bleach. Yeah. I the reason I never liked doing the bleach bath thing is because I had an ex who would do that with her son, and it just looked like she had been doing it for a long time, and it's like from when I first met him, he was very light skinned, so he had more of a yellowish skin tone color, but he looked like he was more pale as time went on, and he got sick easy. I always notice people who do the bleach bath thing. Y'all probably got different experiences, but the people around me who mess with the bleach for the cleansing thing, yeah, you got the point across, you got the cleansing and stuff going on. Well, I always felt like that people like they got sick easier, or I just felt like their skin looked paler, like it almost like it was really bleaching them. But it's just they would use this. It wasn't a lot. They would put like a drop or two in the bath water, and they would go like that. But it was I don't know. I never could get down with that specific method. I do know when we had chicken pox, everybody was into the calamine lotion, and I think they had some calamine stuff you would dump in your bath water too. So that was one of the things. Yeah, bleach. Yeah, it was something that was commonly done. That is true. You bought the straws. Nice. Yep, good old classic parents remedies. What else would they use? I know everybody talks about the onions and the socks things and stuff like that. Um, my mom would have like peppermint oil, things that gave like a soothing thing and rub it on your chest when you would get a little foot colds and sicknesses. But as I got older, um, I have never, and I can tell y'all from the day that I went to college, I never, I never used anticonvulsants, anti-congestions. That stuff my parents would give me when I was younger, the cough syrup and all that. I know a lot of people hated that damn pink cough syrup, not me. But I don't know why I like the taste of it. It didn't bother me. Pepto Bismol, it didn't bother me. None of those two bothered me. Um, I never had castor oil. I heard that was like great for bowels, but I never had that before. But some people said they would get that. So I still to this day I don't know what castor oil tastes like. It doesn't sound like I want to either. But to this day, ginger and heat has always been my thing for different sicknesses. That's always been my thing. Vicks and flannel cloth over chest. Yes, see, that's it. If you warm you up, what I would do is you would rub the chest with Vicks. That would give the soothing thing, and then you would get a damp cloth, put that on top, so that you could have like a hydrator. And you made sure it was warm because you wanted it to permeate, like, because whenever you use a thicker liquid, you hit it with some heat, it loosens it up and it activates things. I like to tell people that heat is an activator because it speeds up not only metabolism, it speeds up activity. Why? Because you guys probably already heard me say in multiple videos within the past few months that it's all about it's the shape which determines what the function is, and things that have a shape that perform a function, there are activators of those things. Like heat is not an activator, it's more of a what's the term I want to use? If something is moving slow, you can use heat to speed it up. Why? Because when you hit mechanisms with heat, they loosen up so they can move faster. And that's why heat is such an activator. So you guys notice when you get a fever, you heat your body up, your proteins loosen up and therefore they move faster. So that's why you produce faster white blood cells. And they say your immune system speed doubles with every degree your body heat temperature rises, because you loosen up the joints of the proteins and now they can turn faster. Just like anything, if you heat it up too much, it'll fall apart. So there's a threshold. So slow it down, make it work less. That's why you put ice packs on like swelling areas. Because what's happening is when you cut yourself or bruise yourself, the color you see, when you break the skin, it causes a certain type of viscous fluid to leak in there. And that fluid leaking in there attracts different cytokines because they all have different functions, ICAMs, VCAMs, interferon, and all kinds of factors and stuff like that. There's certain types of white blood cells that come in there too. They roll on the edges of the cell and all that. So when these things come in, their job is to, like, you break the skin, you get fluid leakage, you get some blood coming into the area, the blood starts to coagulate, the fluid leakage eventually starts to solidify. Then you get the white blood cells and stuff come in to eat stuff up. Then you get the stitching action that happens. A stitching action happens and then it starts to pull the skin together. So when you get a scab, the scab is covering the area that's from the blood and from all the cytokines and the cofactors. And that causes the underneath that scab, the skin is like being pulled together. And because that action is very tight, you get a lot of stiffness. It's just your body trying to allow itself to do what it has to do without you interfering. That's why when you stretch the skin around the scab, it hurts, because you're pulling apart the thing that's trying to hold it together. So once all the healing is done, the scab starts to easily fall off. Then you notice that the area where the bruise was is light. When you hit that with sun or when the electricity comes back to it, the melanocytes become active and it starts to turn back normal color again. So it's a lot concerning that. Heat is heat is a form of you could say that it's a form of inflammation, right? Inside flaming of the nation, your nation, right? Yeah, cold reduces swelling because fluid is coming into the area. And when you hit it with cold and press on it, you inhibit the speed of the fluid going in. So it slows the action down. The good thing is, if the swelling is too much for the area that's necessary, you can press ice against it to slow it down, because by not letting more fluid in, the fluid that's already there that might be enough will start to coagulate in the area and seize it up. And then it'll block any other fluid from coming in. So by just having that ice on there for a little bit, you don't let the swelling get too high, because maybe that much swelling is not necessary, but the swelling just gets bigger and bigger depending on how big the tear or the bruise is. And until those factors in your body come and stitch that spot up, the fluid just keeps leaking in. So by putting cold on it, you kind of slow that process down, because you might not need that much fluid in the area. So yeah. We'll wrap about a little bit more of that in a minute. But what made me jump on the live this morning is because I was watching a couple of videos, and y'all know that the most viral thing right now obviously is the Will Smith slap situation. But here's what I didn't know. I didn't want to make a live stream on that situation necessarily because, all the perspective, like y'all already know, literally the next morning, almost every YouTube page you probably watch had the picture of the slap up on the screen and all these different perspectives related to it. So it was like there's not much more poking away at that you can actually do. But what I did not know, looking at one of the Black, I think it was the Black Authority channel, I didn't know Samuel L. Jackson got an Oscar. It was an honorary one, but he got one. I didn't know that. And I thought that was very interesting, especially since, a lot of people know, like, up there in my favorite actors categories is going to be Denzel and it's going to be Samuel L. Jackson. That's clearly up there. I do agree with Samuel L. I saw his comments after the event was over and before it. He should have been got an Academy Award. That's a given. Um, I also didn't know, they said that and some people might have studied him enough to notice, but I did not know that Samuel L. You know how he's known for saying, motherfucker, like, he's known for saying that. That was a part of his speech therapy. That helped him improve his speech when he was younger because he had a stutter. So I didn't know that, but somehow I feel like I heard it before. But that was a big deal. But and Denzel gave him the award too when he got it. I thought I liked that. I was happy that he finally got his award. We were producing the event. It's a shame because someone was right. I saw another status where somebody said that if it had not been for the Will Smith slap, they wouldn't have even known. They wouldn't have even been watching the Oscars or known that the Oscars had gone on. I was in that category. Me, I have a tendency to watch like the video game awards. That's the one that I'm always interested in. Like who wins the video game awards. But yeah, I would not have known. And then once I did know with all the Will Smith stuff going on, it really did overshadow everything else because I did not know Samuel L. Jackson got an award. So, and it's a shame because I'll admit I'm one of those people of the opinion that Will Smith's timing was not only bad, but his relationship and his life in general lately has been weird to the point where I can't really feel much for him with what happens to him. It's like, you listen to his history, you learn about the Tupac thing, you learn about what he did to get Jada, and it's like he wanted Jada so bad. It's just like he had the right life and career. Like Jada could accept him as like, I mean, he don't look bad. He got charisma. He really likes me. He's really got a lot going for him, and he's really pushing hard. So Jada had a lot of reasons to go in, except for something personal for her. And I'm not saying that just to talk out of my ass. If you listen to their Red Table talk back during the whole entanglement thing, she was the one who said, like, I didn't have a picture of living in anyone's shadow doing this, that, and the third. She wanted to live on a farm with horses and stuff like that. That was her perception of life. And she never got that. She never had the same like charisma and pull as Will. I think the only time I remember much about Jada Pinkett Smith was from Low Down Dirty Shame. And that was the one with Keenan Ivory Wayans, which is I really like that movie. That movie's very enjoyable, but it's because of him. I did like having her on there playing Peaches as a supporter. But if you ask me about her career, yeah, you could name some things and I'll probably be like, oh yeah, she was there, she was there, she was there. But I remember Low Down Dirty Shame. That's just what I remember from her. So yeah, the devil could have broke him, or he just like again, like whatever arrangement they got in their marriage, and it was probably due to the fact that what I said earlier, she was gaining a huge advantage being in that relationship, but she wasn't feeling Will like that because she was, she was on the Tupac band. And I guess he had been, I don't know if he was trying to live up to that, the bad boy image or what, or with his history being that his mom was abused and he couldn't really help and all that. Mm, I can't answer for another man, but it all don't add up to, hey, this guy tells a light joke on stage and this is the moment where I break. It was clearly, but yeah, he must have been out of his mind. Like this is just a culmination of a lot of different factors. And it's like, damn, homie, if it was gonna be one thing where you was gonna show you was sick and fed up, this wasn't it. Hopefully later on when he explains it and hopefully he's telling the truth about it, maybe he feel like he got back everything he was missing by finally so-called protecting his woman. I don't know about all that. Yeah, she might have been hurt by the comment, but she wasn't breaking down and in tears and all that stuff like that. But I don't know, it wasn't enough there. I think what happened was she probably appreciated the gesture and he probably was happy to oblige, to do something. But in the grand lexicon of things, when you look back on it, it's like, all right, so you stood up for me, you saw me uncomfortable, but this wasn't life damaging. I don't have a disease that's going to kill me. And don't get me wrong, losing hair to an extent. She has alopecia, and I forget the term for it, a retro, and then there's universalis, and then there's another version of it. She has the lightest version of it, which is usually you don't lose all your hair just gets really low. Then you have one where it really cuts deep into your body. Because remember, you got hair outside and hair inside. One of the hairs inside, we call that the glycocalyx. It's like a sugar protein. Hairs that kind of line your digestive tract and stuff like that. Now, if she lost all that, okay, I could see what that could lead to. But the version she got, it's like, okay, it sucks. You want to be able to have your own hair, do what you got to do. But like I said, it wasn't what he said about her, the G.I. Jane line. That's not life damaging. That's not, oh, my woman is in such distress. I must strike at a moment's notice. If that's how he felt, cool, but nah, can't get by that. You said that the slap was fake, like something Jackie Chan would have felt. Yo, I'm still in the line. I'm kind of a little bit leaning into the setup. The problem is when I say that, when I tell people that it was staged, it was fake, it was a setup. I was the type who was thinking setup in terms of it was like Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. It was just between Chris Rock and Will Smith, if that was the case. I don't think it was. I'm not saying that it was a setup from the whole Academy. That would have been stupid, based on the way that it went. And the only person who would have been smart enough to know how to cover for it would have been Chris Rock, because even after Chris Rock got hit, his decorum almost gave Will Smith a way out. Because in the beginning he was like, dude, and whatever. And when he said, "Keep my wife's name out your mouth," people were laughing. And the fact that Rock didn't push too hard, it gave like a little bit of room for Will to just not say anything else and back off. So he had plenty of times. But again, I don't know. It's whatever the agreement between Will and Jada is for the relationship. It's clearly about Will loving her so much, being willing to offer her things that she may or may not have ever gotten in her career. She was willing to accept it. By having the open marriage, that allows her to be able to, not feel like she's missing anything. Like, look, I don't feel like we're that compatible, but I like you. I appreciate you. We're going to put this arrangement together. It's kind of like political marriages. We do it for the sake of optics, not necessarily for love. So, that's kind of that. But it was, I was glad to see that Samuel L. got something. I mean, because I always tell people, this is my thing, right? We look at the system that we live in, and I know everybody has we always want, white people to give us that, give us a shot, give us this and give us that. For all of the knowledge that they learned from, like, the way that we ran our systems in the ancient times, right? Ancient Egypt, ancient Africa, ancient Rome, and all these different locations. And then learning about the science of why all these things exist, studying the psychology, doing everything that they did, including the bad things, right? They didn't put together a system that has no effect. The fact that there's such a psychological effect over the population shows you that they got something right. Not right as in good, right as in effective. The fact that, let's say you guys were, in the chat room, I know most of you guys are woke, right? Let's say most of y'all weren't as woke as y'all were. You got to admit, like, I was valedictorian in high school. That held weight, like, when I was growing up. I was a kid. So, in any situation where there's legit, because remember, whether or not the system was set up or not a certain way, and it's something they set up, you're in that competition. You're in the game. So there's a side of it that's totally you. Like, look, regardless of what game they set up, I fought hard as shit. Like, that in your head. Like, I put in the work in school. I put in the work in sports. I put in the work in my career. And you can get kind of heartbroken to learn later on the thing is political, because you're going to feel like you and a lot of people are going to feel like you are the greatest, but don't get what's due to you. And that's the reason why I say effective, but not good, because it was built with a bias. It was built with a racist twist. So because of that, it's easy for us to pick out where people are just pandering and just allowing things to happen versus the authentic, I'm just better, right? Like, for instance, if you're talking about boxing, the actual event, we might have been nice with, getting our box on. But the actual boxing, the league, the actual standards of boxing, the sanctions and all that stuff like that, that's built in a primarily white society. But the one thing that could not be done was guys like Muhammad Ali were so damn good. You could not overshadow that, because it's physical. It's a physical trait. It's like, you get in my way, I'm gonna knock you smooth the fuck out. And when I do, and then I talk about it the way I talk about it in front of the world, you gonna look like an ass trying to give an award to somebody else. It's kind of like who did they do that to? They did it to Roy Jones, right? Roy Jones embarrassed the dude in the Golden Gloves fight, and it gave it to the Asian dude, and they gave it to the. It don't even make sense. It's like Roy was probably mad as hell, but it's like, dude, come on, man, I whooped that ass clean. And at the end of the day, you can only look at it and be like, yeah, he got robbed. Even the people from Japan would he got robbed. Like you just know. Sometimes you're just so good. The political stuff kind of kills stuff. But yeah, how to manipulate the masses. Y'all remember the classic books? If y'all never read them before, what was it? The Tavistock Institute, Social Engineering the Masses, Gustave Le Bon, and what was the other guy's name? You got Gustave Le Bon and God damn, it was another really popular name. But they had two. It was two books. One was called uh Psychology of the Mind, Analysis of the Ego, and the other one was The Crowd. I think it was just called. It was just called The Crowd. And The Crowd was the book, I believe, where they showed you how they were able to market cigarettes to like I think it was a group of feminists. I haven't read the book in a long time, but I think it was a group of feminists who were fed up with not getting their rights. And someone came to them with cigarettes and told them to call them torches of light or something like that. And they was like, you'll have these as a unifying factor to strengthen your movement. So when people see you smoking these joints, everybody gonna be like, oh, that's a part of the movement. So you have like, it's kind of like everybody in the group wearing black or red or wearing a certain logo. They managed to market cigarettes to the women. And I think it went from a couple of women um, in a day to in 2 weeks, like over 250,000 women were walking around. And even though the marketing campaign was good and the health benefits were bad with the smoking, the cigarette companies start making mad money. So, you know, oh yeah, everybody, Black Voltron, everybody was pissed. But the thing was, we showed our support to him, right? He had a nice career. He gets spoken about. I even like when they had him up there as a commentator. Some people didn't like it, but I was like, but he was effective. So, and he didn't lose his speech, to the point where he can't articulate himself. So, and that's because it was later in his career where he took the hit. When he got knocked out by Tarver, I was mad, but I was laughing because I saw the replay of the whole thing. I was mad as hell because Roy looked like he was in great shape. He moved to the wrong weight, but he threw that overhand hook and Tarver threw it at the same time, and all you saw was Roy going backwards. And I was like, oh snap! Like, I was mad, but I was laughing. Like it is what it is, right? That's how boxing goes. Yeah, if y'all in here, hit the like button, share button, all that good stuff, right? Secret societies will do it right in your face, and you can't deny saying you just won't register or understand what you saw because you don't know how to react between the lines. Yeah, and that's what happens that's why we say racism is about actual power, like the ability to affect somebody's reality. At least as far as economics, because we can always talk psychological, right? Like you can call somebody ugly and affect their reality. So I want to kind of have a difference between the two. A person not liking me because of my skin color is a bias. A person who affects my ability to live a sane and fulfilling life is a racist, meaning all things that make you live belong to me, and I should be able to control your life. So if I want to live in a certain house and it should be free reign on who gets it, and you somehow lie to me and say, well, this house has already been taken, you know, and you start poking away at them and they keep finding excuses, racism. Um, you redlining, right? Racism. But it's nothing to do with whether you like me or not. Because you can go to the ice cream store and say I like chocolate versus liking vanilla. That's not racism. That's bias. That's preference. So we got to separate preference from, who do you want to date? You want to date black women, white women, all women? It's preference. But even if you date all women, you're going to have biases within that. Okay, I like them white and skinny. I like them Indian and fat. Like you're going to have a bias somewhere. And everyone's trying to turn a bias into a shame. And it's like, I mean, yeah, we get it by definition, but we're not like fixing anything. We're just adding terms to things so that we can have a bunch of stuff to call out, but nothing really gets fixed. Everything just gets covered up. And I'm not a fan of that type of dippy and dodging kind of thing. Because when you dip and dodge things, you're buying time. It's kind of like so everybody, let's because I gave y'all my point of view on the Samuel L thing. I'm happy he got it. And before I switch off on that, I want to know, like, some people be like, well, what's your favorite Samuel L movie? For me, I'm an action movie fan. It's The Negotiator. The Negotiator is my favorite one. Would that be his Oscar nomination worthy movie? Nah, he's got movies clearly better than that one. But when I say let's go watch a Samuel L movie, I'm probably going to pick The Negotiator. Um, but there's plenty of other movies, that he played in, even like bad movies that he completely made budgets for, like Snakes on a Plane. But yeah, I'm happy he got his Oscar. The moment got blown by what happened with Will Smith, but what you gonna do, right? That's just what happens in our community, right? Even though nobody can say that the Oscars was a total wash, like Will did what he did. He didn't ruin the Oscars. Well, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. He ruined the night for anybody outside of himself and Chris Rock. He completely ruined the night. So that's what he did. But the actual event itself, if you tried to look away from what Will Smith did to Chris Rock, the night itself went on without any other hitch. It went on smoothly. So it's just a shame that all of that happened smoothly after. It has nothing to do with the fact that the only thing really remembered is what Will Smith did. But I was glad to find out that Samuel L. got something. So I didn't know that part. Now, in terms of we can switch back into talking about some of the health stuff, right? Forgot what was the it was a point I was going to bring up right before that. Amber is in the building. What's going on? Say hi to some folks. Metallic Maniac. Yup. Cray like a fox. Uh, Black Voltron as always. Danielle Harding. Would it be like the student master? Who is the master? Will is trying to make lemonade out of lemons. Love is a powerful drug. He trying. I don't think it'll ever work. Why? Because they already set the parameters of having a loose relationship. Once you set those parameters, you always leave a way out. So Will now, he could have did something to damn near destroy his own career, and she could be like, all right, well, took the Will train for a ride and the kids are grown, so I can roll out. Like, it could be that kind of thing. The Phoenix in the building. See who else was in here. Sister Yaya L. Would it be like anybody else? Let me see. All right, that's who I see at the moment. Right. All right, cool. Will Smith opened up a national income stream because everybody has been eating off that slap. Yeah, they have. Yo, I saw a funny one when I was doing the Urban Nerds. I was teaching some editing on Urban Nerds yesterday. I thought one of the kids that did it, but he said he asked a friend who he knows on Twitch. And for those of you who don't know Twitch, Twitch is the video game version of YouTube. So even though YouTube has video games and stuff on it, you go to Twitch, you're just going to see a lot of video game squares of different, like, let's say Resident Evil comes out tomorrow. You click on the Resident Evil box and it will show you all the people playing Resident Evil and how many people are watching each one. So Twitch is very popular. So that's what Twitch is. But he showed me a video on Twitch where somebody's playing Call of Duty and they took a shot. They did this editing off the replay because in Call of Duty, when you get a kill, you shoot the person, you get the kill, and then they show a replay where when you fire the bullet, it shows the bullet fly across the screen and hit the person. Like, it follows the bullet all the way close to the person. So what they did was they shot the bullet, it got close to the person, and when the bullet was about to hit, the screen froze. They showed a picture of Will Smith walk up, and when he threw a slap, that's when the bullet hit and the picture continued. I thought that was pretty funny and creative. But I told him, I was like, man, you should have held that and then put that on your page because you could have used it to probably help blow your page up and show something you can do. But he doesn't quite have the skill yet. So I'm going to teach him the skill he needs to be able to single-handedly create those things himself and get him a little income stream going. And he's 14. Like, I can do that. You can do this for kids who have the mind to pick it up. Like, there's 8-year-olds who can do more in the world of computer programming than I can. So don't underestimate how young your kid can become a millionaire. Daughter, son, doesn't matter. All they got to do is have the type of mind that says, I want to have the power to control my destiny when it comes to things I like. That's all you need. Grand Rising. Yeah, Tupac living rent, um, rent freeing Will's head. Yep. Yeah, the cartoon slap. Yeah, it was a real nice. I guess I should have grabbed, but it would be promoting somebody else's page if I did. But yeah, the clip that he showed me was pretty funny. I liked it. It was a good creative use. But y'all know the internet's undefeated in this stuff, so they always make it something funny. Whether it be in the Jordan cry, I remember back in the day we used to act like we was dunking on people by tapping the top of the door, and somebody created a funny joint off that. The little kid, the skeptical little kid who go like that, like it's always something being found on the internet. They got a whole damn like dance video to the Will Smith joint. Like even that's out. Like somebody cut that up like within 24 hours. So always something funny going on, right? Yeah, he destroyed the opportunity for Richard, Venus, Serena Williams, to shine with a very powerful pro black father in King Richard. That's what pissed me off. Yeah, the moment that people could have known about some form of black excellence, it got overshadowed. And of course, we wasn't gonna sit around dwelling on it, but in our mind, we was like, of course, right? Like, of course, tonight, that would be the one time that somebody does something stupid like that. Whatever, man, and we move on because we've seen it so much. We're desensitized to the stupid stuff. Like those of us who are woke, we're looking for the areas where it's like, nah, that's what I'm talking about. We're gonna move in that direction. We'll catch on to the other entertainment, so to speak, that goes on. But nah, we're not gonna live in it anymore. It's pointless. But at the same time, I never care. I don't want to entertain the conversation about the perception of white people about us. I really don't give a damn because whether we do something bad or good, they're going to find a way to make us look bad anyway. Me being an artist growing up, I love movies. I did comic books growing up. I do video and photography, and I'm a movie buff kind of a bit. So I don't know if y'all remember when the movie pass card came out, they went bankrupt. I told my wife, I was like, I have no idea how this is going to last, but damn right I enjoyed it. But basically, you paid $10 a month for the card and you could see unlimited movies. Like I was like, hell yeah. And guess how many movies I was seeing per month? 8 movies a month. Like because photography kind of allows that to happen. Like I live in PA, but I could be working in Jersey for the whole day and have like a morning shift, photographing maybe a Catholic mass, which is only 1 hour. And then maybe I'm supposed to be in that area of Jersey 6 hours later. So I had that movie pass card. I would just go looking up what movies was playing, hit the theater up. And then when the movie was done, slide on over to the next photography gig. The gigs weren't boring. It was hockey games, football, soccer, basketball, pep rallies. Like none of the stuff was really, well, there were some things that were boring, but you just had to, get them over with. Like walking from class to class, taking photos of people doing work. That was one of the boring ones. Never was a fan of that one. The Catholic masses, of course, they get old because you could be doing 2 to like 6 of them joints in a week. Like so that can get old. It gets old to the point where you start learning all the lines. So, but but yeah, I'm not gonna say rough times for the melanated peoples. It's like the greatest times, but it's also one of the weirdest times at the same time for us. But I think I don't I don't know, man. Like if I was in Will Smith's position, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be happy that he's gonna get he's got a lot of money and he's gonna get a bit of a break from the limelight for a little bit because of this. Because by being sanctioned and possibly sued, and now he gave up his membership to the Academy, because they was gonna hit him up. And then, people like Jim Carrey are making comments about possibly having him sued for a large amount of money to damage him real bad to make sure he never does that again. So who knows how that'll turn out. I know I saw the ticket sales for Chris Rock's event in Atlantic City, and I'm not even far from there. I'll tell the truth. I was like, yo, that joint coming up. It's today. Like, if I would have known about that early enough, I'd have probably hopped on it. The tickets, yeah, they went up. They weren't terribly expensive though. For what was it? I think when I caught wind of it, one of the seats, the front row seats, it wasn't the very front row seat, but it was like $133. I was like, after what happened, trying to be the first to see how he would have made comedy out of that, might have went. Might have took a quick, drove. I probably did some Uber for like 3 hours, made a quick 150, and been like, all right, I'm gonna ride up there and see what's good. I might have did that. The ads is in the building. So I'm now other news. I am planning on doing a stream at some point with Dr. Inky. It could be tomorrow. I'm gonna see what's up when he want to link up. He makes occasional modifications to his new study. And I looked at I haven't read the recent modification. I know some new studies have been added to it. And I do read the studies. Like I read everything. Like I do have to get used to anything he put in the study outside of the word inky cycle. Because I didn't know he would have that many cycles in there, like the Real cycle and stuff like that. I would have to get used to talking about those. I'm used to the inky cycle by now, but the others I really gotta get used to that. So it's gonna be the naming, and I'm hoping that we can push the science that he got fast enough because people kept asking me, what is the end game, right? We always talk about how black people got to get it together. It'll be too late. Me, I placed a not a direct time period. Like I can't say, oh, it will be 2025 and this and that will happen. I can't say that. But in my mind, I placed the time period on when we have to get it together. Concerning the fact that Inky was saying like this is direct genocide, right? If diabetes has a higher chance of catching on to black people, we have a history of seeing what sugar can do to us. We're looking at the amount of things that we've been locked into that include versions of sugar and what that can do to melanated skin. Now, as long as the science has not technically maxed itself out in terms of, fulfilling health demands, then there's time. I tied it to the fact that I know based on principles of science, something that I've seen in the movies and something that I know they've been working on for a while now is possible. And that's the ability to make those scanning beds with the infrared lasers that have the ability to graft a body back together. The moment you have that, what you gonna do? That's endgame right there. Because you're talking about versions of longevity. They've been working on that for a while, whether it's cryogenics or transferring your consciousness into another body, right? They did that with that model black woman they had on. I think it was a TED Talks, but the woman had died. They had put her magnetic field consciousness into a droid or drone or whatever, right? And then she was talking, even though it can only talk the way a robot could, talking like she would. So, all right, I was gonna say turn that off, but said do a live on muscle building and what's a healthy diet should actually look like. People love that question. What's good with your excellent tries in the building? But yeah, so you're talking about look at the principles, right? Everything is frequency. We're talking about Inky study and we're talking about color theory. We're talking about frequency, consciousness, all of that. Like I've been talking about these things for a while and listening to different people, including some of you guys who share stuff on social media. I put a lot of stuff together from a lot of different people. Inky just happens to be able to focus on it because his life's been around it the whole time. I've never been able to focus on it because my life went another way and I have a totally different skill. So you literally, there's certain things that KT and Inky have that I have also. But what they had was the life surrounding the thing that I love doing as a hobby. Like, funny thing is, Inky said he started off with the health stuff, the reading, the learning as a hobby. Me, it was a close by hobby because when you do artwork, you have to study, and you don't have to, but I naturally studied anatomy when I was young. Muscles, bone, and eventually watching enough fantasy movies, which is where the movie part comes in at, it makes you think higher than just where you are. Remember, as a kid, we had no problem like when Halloween, what you gonna dress up as? It was a lot of Superman, right? Because that was the flight. But it was all about being able to fly. Your dreams were about flying because there was something about reach for the stars, flying and all that, that made you see things higher than you actually were. And surprisingly, right before these academy things happened, reading Inky's study and hearing the word chemiluminescence again, which is something I heard a long time ago, back when I first started looking at him on his traveling lectures. It was all about that diurnal glow that humans have. The issue with the ability that we are luminescent, which I always ask myself, can that be strengthened? If you guys go way back with Inky, then you know about um when they were talking about the scarab beetle and Inky had everyone look up what a beetle was and you found out it was a firefly and the firefly could light up and then you learned about why it could light up because there was enzymes and proteins. There was luciferin, the protein, and luciferase. And obviously, what is Lucifer? Lucifer was the angel that was apparently cast out, but was the god of that was the Christian god for light, if you will, right? The light bearer, the knowledge bearer, that kind of thing, right? But we know God is light, and light is basically sound, and sound is frequency. Because remember, there's stillness, and when something moves, you have frequency because movement produces a change. If you look at a heart monitor, when the heart's not beating, meaning nothing's happening, it's a straight line. The moment there's a disturbance, meaning movement, the straight line starts to react. That science helped create the microphone. When I speak, it's making the air around me vibrate, and the straight line starts to squiggle again. Again, that's all frequency. That squiggly line is a visual way of saying frequency of what? Sound, light, disturbance. So if something is still and it gets disturbed, it creates a reaction. That's a sound. Now, just because the reaction is happening and you can't see it, it does not mean it's not light. You see what I mean? This is why sound is a version of light, because sound allows you to distinguish nothing from something. Just like when they say the light separated the darkness from the light, right? Let there be light. And then there was the darkness, and then there was the light. There's separation. So when there's quiet, sound separates that. So in order to know one thing, you have to know the opposite. So if everybody tries to say God is a human being and attribute human actions to God, you're making a mistake, because then you're going to say that if I was God, I will. So therefore, God would do this thing. And this is where you get into trouble trying to assign genders and things to God. And it's best to just have your own point of view about how you see God. But it can always be challenged, right? But we're talking about frequency. All disturbance creates light. Just because it's not visible does not mean it's not light. That's why when you disturb hard enough, fast enough, amplify it enough, it eventually can be seen. Because remember, on the electromagnetic spectrum, it goes from things that are weak to things that are strong. So when it's weak, the light is there. It's just very weak. It's not moving forward and getting stronger to the point where it's in the visible spectrum. See, it's still light. There's just a spectrum where you can actually see it. Other spectrums, you can hear it, you can taste it, you can touch it. But then there's some frequencies you can't interact with because there's nothing in your consciousness to tell you it's there. But the moment you know it's there, you can interact with it. Your body does the same thing. It could be something in your body that you can't detect with your senses, but there's a disturbance within your body and it's happening. And that's what has to be understood. So all disturbance is a form of light. And if a disturbance is happening, a sound is being made and light is being created. How strong it is determines which sense can pick it up. Okay. Let me see what y'all saying before I move on. The motion of sound can create light. Y'all, you ever notice Student Master? They give you that principle in movies a lot, and it's in real life. A person now in a movie they exaggerate, but we don't know anybody that's strong. If you clap hard enough, that's a sound, but it'll create lightning, right? You always see that in a movie. You can, let's say you got copper and carbon. Copper and carbon, when they scrape each other, they actually create electricity. Now, you could start stroking your finger across like a carbon dish. You'll hear sound. But if I take my finger away and I apply a stronger metal like copper to it, and I scrape it the same way, there's harder friction, which means it's amplifying the pressure, which means now I'm going to see light. And what do you see as light? Sparks. If I do that hard enough and fast enough, them sparks is going to turn colors, and eventually it can create a fire. If there's enough, if there's nowhere for the sound to escape, then that constant friction will produce heat, and the heat can get hot enough to produce fire, and fire can be seen. See, they're all connected. You start off with a still thing, you rub it lightly, you hear nothing. Like if you go like this with your finger right now, just go like this real lightly, you can barely hear that, especially if I'm talking because I'm louder than it. But if I tell you to press harder and start doing it faster, you can hear it. So you're elevating the sound. It's starting to go from the fact that you can feel something to the fact you can hear something. If I keep rubbing even harder, it's going to start to burn. But if I press hard enough and rub hard enough, it could produce light, but nobody's got that kind of strength because the light it'll produce will probably be a burn. You'll see smoke first because you got to get the smoke before you get the fire. So the more friction produces more elements or more visual anomalies that you can see. It's all about how strong the disturbance is and how amplified it is. So this is where the shape of frequency becomes an issue. Because remember, frequency can just be small line wiggling like that. Or those small lines could be like this because now they're amplified, meaning the pressure is much higher. Or you could just speed it up and just have it shaking faster, but very light. Low frequency, high frequency, right? How far apart are the strokes and how high do they go? So frequency can take shape too. And if you start learning how frequency can take shape, height, depth, X, Y, Z axis in geometry, you start to learn how frequency can technically create anything. Because then it becomes how fast, how high, how amplified, how large, how wide, how high the mountain peak. Like you start to get all these combinations you could put together. And as you combine these combinations more and more, you get what? A different shape. And a different shape equals what? A different function. So now I can be a color, an object, a phenomena, a thing, a sound. I can become everything, which is why frequency is everything. I hope this makes sense too. Do atoms have a resonant frequency? I don't know. I don't want to just throw that out there and answer it. However, the fact that an atom has an electron orbiting it, it has to have some sort of frequency. Resonant enough to detect? I can't say. What I do know is if it moves, oh, it's going to have some form of frequency. Resonant frequency, what is it? I don't know. Like I can't say I know what it is, but if it creates a disturbance, it has to have one. If humans can't detect it or name it or mathematize it, if that is a word, right? Mathematize. Just because we can't put a standard to it does not mean it doesn't exist. That was a atheist concept. And you had to like talk to atheists enough to try and get them to make sense of things because it's like they're coming off right away saying, if there's no proof of it, then it does not exist. And I'm like, then we would never progress as humans because you would only assume that that which exists already is all that can exist. You could say that like, oh, there's copper. We're gonna call this rock copper. We're gonna call that carbon. And because those two exist and we never see them do anything, you're gonna say, no, there's no such thing as a glow of light coming out of the rocks and stuff like that. And then one day somebody starts striking them shits together. And then light comes out. Now what? The atheist is gonna say, well, that's proven now. This is where belief comes from, imagination, mind. All that can be perceived can be seen. Just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean it can't exist. You see what I mean? You got to have a fine line of separation. That's where belief actually comes in at. Like for me, I have a belief that humans can glow. That's a belief. Why? Maybe I grew up watching too many damn fantasy movies, but guess where fantasy movies come from? The mind. And if the mind can perceive of it, it's a possibility it can happen. How will it happen one day? Maybe we'll be able to keep people so natural one day that the luminescence that humans have will become stronger. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe somebody will transhumanize us and wire our body to the point where our skin can do what fireflies do, which means now we can take in, we'll suddenly have an active luciferin protein in our body and luciferase to activate it. So when we breathe, our body will produce light. And at first, when it's weak, it'll pulsate just like it does for fireflies. And eventually it will be steady because it'll pulsate so fast, it'll look steady. You got to remember frequency again. I move my finger like this, you see it. I start moving it faster. It starts to kind of take on a solid object because it's starting to move so fast. Luminescence does the same thing. Electricity does the same thing. There's alternating current, pulses of electricity going into your house, lighting up the light bulb. So if the pulses were slow, your light bulb would glow and contract and glow and contract and keep doing this contracting and glowing thing. It'll get dimmer and then lighter, dimmer and then lighter. But if I start alternating and shooting those currents in faster, you're going to think, oh, that must be direct current. It's just going one continuous current. No, it's an alternating current moving faster. So instead of throwing the marble at the metal plate once every second, meaning every time it strikes, it lights up, now I'm hitting it so damn fast, the light is pulsing so fast, it looks like it's sitting still. See, that's what we're talking about here. Let's see what y'all saying. The hue of man, right? Every movement has a frequency. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. If movement exists, me moving my hand, you're going to say there's atmosphere, right? There's hydrogen, there's nitrogen, and there's other stuff in the air. And when I move my hand, I'm creating a friction against the air. But the air is so thin, things are so like separated and not coherent and very compact that when I move my hand, I barely feel any pressure because this is more compact than the thing I'm moving it through. So I move through it fluently. But if you make the air more dense, or if the spin of the earth gets more dense, then the gravity, what we call gravity, which is actually spin, will be the pressure will be higher. And guess what happens when you put pressure against a body like ours, where it's created to react against the environment? The body is going to begin to make our bones and our body much denser to withstand the gravity pressure coming down on us. Where was that principle shown? Y'all watch Dragon Ball Z? They had something called the gravity chamber, and they would go in there and they would turn it up 2 times gravity, and you would see the force come down on them, and they can't walk as fast. So they start learning how to do push-ups in it, and punches in it, and flips in it. And eventually, what happens is their body takes on a form that can move against 2 times gravity's pressure, which means now you're inside of a chamber where when you punch, it feels like there's a pressure pushing your arm down more. So what's your body going to do? Develop the tendons and the muscles to resist that so that everything feels normal. Guess what happens when you step out of that stronger gravity and step into lighter gravity? Now everything moves faster. Your body moves faster because your body is built to move in a stronger atmosphere. So when you get in a lighter one, it's just like all resistance exercise. Now you can move faster. You tie a band around your waist and try and run as hard as you can. When you take the band off, all of a sudden your legs can move faster and your body can move faster because your body builds itself up against resistance, right? What field of study does this pertain to? Quite a few things. Physiology, kinetics, because you got kinesiology, which is like an electric transfer of energy within the body from motion, right? So you got kinetics, you got biology. I tend to talk about things that kind of cross the span of different subjects. So when you study all the different subjects, remember, doctors break it down just to categorize it and keep things organized. But one of the issues that I always had with the new world paradigm versus the old one is ancient Kemetic, Egyptian, different people back then. It was holistic. They weren't looking at piecemeal. They were looking at how the whole thing flowed. Because I always tell people that in nature, your job is to understand nature. So when you step into nature, you fall into the winds of flow. It's like a dance. When the music plays, you start to dance a certain way and you let the music take you. Why? Because it's the least path to resistance. In nature, we live in a world today where they want to resist nature for the sake of control. And when you resist nature, you get a pushback from nature, which imparts more information. Oh, when you do this to nature, that happens. So we need to learn how to counter that. And then that produces another response from nature. And you say, oh, that's new. Learn how to counter that. Back then, we didn't do all that. We looked at nature and said, let's see how she moves. Let's map the stars. Look up and study it for thousands of years and see if it moves in a certain shape. Oh, that star is there today. Where's it at tomorrow? Where's it at the day after that? Follow it. Let me know when it gets back. 2,000 years later, get back yet? No. 2,000, I think is what, 700 or 100 or 2. I can't remember the number. When it finally makes it back around, you have something like the Mayan calendar, right? It went around and it found its way back. Map it again and see if it's consistent. That's a lot of generations. They didn't complain. They just said, map the shit. Keep doing it. Because if we assume that life continuously goes, the spirit continues, the life continues, the light continues, well, just live your life, do what you can for your life, and let the next one pick it up from where it left off. You ain't gonna be around for every damn thing in the universe. You weren't here before you were born to remember everything. At least we don't know anyone who is. Nobody's opened the Akashic records that well, right? But at the same time, you don't know what you'll be able to determine after you get out of here. So do what you can while you're here. Leave some of that knowledge with the next generation. Let them pick it up and keep moving it forward. So when they mapped everything nature did, they eventually said, well, if nature moves like that and nature causes these things to happen, I need to be prepared when those things happen in nature. So when things get sporadic, I at least understand them. Okay, I stick my finger in my mouth, touch it, and I put my hand up into the wind. Hey, I'm feeling a certain thing within the wind. A tornado's coming. Are you going to fight the tornado? Or are you going to build a strong structure to stay inside of until the tornado's over? Or are you going to say, tornado's coming. Look like the earth need to mix some minerals back up, do what it got to do to spread some things across the earth. Let's take a boat trip over to another land until it's over with. Matter of fact, let's call the people over there and see if anything's happening in there so I don't run into anything, right? They mapped it. They said fall within the flow. They didn't say fight against it. See, we're in a different society. In today's society, you decide to live in the marshlands, and then when the marshland starts to flood, everyone wants to say, "Oh, that's so bad." But it's like you chose a house on marshland. What? I mean, what do you want to do? You thought it was going to hold up forever? You tried to find some building material that's going to make it hold up. Oh, I hope you were good at it. You see what I mean? So you don't fight against nature. You fall in line and you flow with it, like music and dance. That's what you're supposed to do. When they come in interfering with that, our rhythm, because we're rhythmic people, our rhythm gets broken. And they're teaching us to dance to their tune. The problem is their tune is fleeting. Their tune says, oh, it's raining tomorrow. Well, either stop the rain, prevent the rain till later on, or hide under something where it's raining. And hopefully it doesn't rain hard enough to uproot what I built and move it out the way. See, you take a bit of a gamble because nothing's full percentage there because it doesn't work like nature does. And there's no 100% safety mechanism in something nature didn't build. Because if there is a 100% safety mechanism, that's where security comes in. Your ass got to watch it. So you want to go to Africa, slap everybody in the face, put everybody in slavery. Then you have to do what? Once you leave, you got to wonder, what the hell are they putting together to get us back? So instead of worrying about that, what you got to do? You got to get your troops and tell them, you know what? We didn't slap these people and took stuff from them. If we don't keep an eye on them, they might come back. So leave some troops there and build a barracks or some shit there and make sure they ain't fucking around. See? Security becomes an issue. Now you got all these resources, but every night you got to sleep with one eye open. How's that living? How's that fun? That's the world today. But if you just fall within nature and apply it to everything, people are who they are. Will Smith was who he was. In the moment, he reacted the way he had to react because he felt he was defending some sense of honor, I guess, for his woman. His woman was somehow under such a very, very bad attack. He had to make a move right there. Regardless of whether we agree or not, it happened. Nature, the person, his psychology, whatever it was that came together naturally, he reacted that way. And if you were standing in the shoes and you were like, oh man, I'm poking a little fun at him. And you poke a little fun at somebody and that turned into a gunshot, a slap, a punch, you could talk all day about how that wasn't warranted. It was just the nature of that thing or person moving the way it moves. And unless you understand that, you're going to get caught up trying to fight the flow. See? It's the same thing. What we got? Make sure I ain't missing nothing y'all saying. Can the Dragon Ball gravity training actually work in real life? Yes, it can. You know that because you do it every time you go to the gym. If you put a squat bar on your back, you're creating resistance downward on your body. So you're going to feel it in places that feel resistance downward. Your back, the bar being on your shoulders, your quads when you decide to squat, your calves, the back of your ankles, because you should have your heels planted flat on the ground. When you go down, you feel relief if you drop fast until you stop. The moment you come down and you stop, your body's used to, remember, your legs are used to everything from your waist up being on top of it and whatever gravity pressure down. The moment you throw 100, 200, 300 pounds on your back and you fall down real fast, the moment you stop, the weight is going to bounce on top of you and your back and everything is going to feel the pressure downward. And when it does, the pressure downward creates stress, which we know bone is piezoelectric. So it's going to create an electrical charge. That electrical charge, if it's stronger than your body's used to, is going to create micro tearing within the muscles and the bones, which means when you stop the exercise and go to sleep, your body's going to repair it stronger. Why? It's not repairing it because of words you say and the things that you think. Your body is repairing based on resistance that could break it. So your body is looking at the average resistance and the average energy it needs per day. And when you go to sleep, it says, okay, now remember, the body doesn't speak the words you speak, but I'm going to just use words for the sake of it. When you go to sleep, your body is like, okay, he wakes up, he's going to eat. So let's remember to be prepared. Let's have gastric juices prepared and thoughts prepared for that food coming so we can be quick to digest it when he eats. And then we notice that he does some movement with his hands and his legs, and then he sits down for a while. That's you getting up, taking a drive, going to work, sitting down at a desk. Or maybe you're going to a construction site to lift boxes. Or maybe you're a championship boxer, or maybe you're a sports player. Whatever you do throughout the day on a regular basis, you're creating a rhythm for your body. And when you go to sleep, your body says, put together an energy package, so to speak, for what they're going to be doing. So it's going to store a certain amount of sugar in the liver. It's going to be prepared to receive calories based on when you eat. Your body gets stressed when you stop following a routine. That's why when you try and if you've been eating 3 times a day heavy meals, and you say, I'm going to fast totally tomorrow after 6 months of eating heavy meals, late in the day, you're going to start getting nauseous and irritable because your body's like, your body's expecting a certain amount of energy to be exuded for the rest of the day, and you haven't given it food that it's used to processing to give you that energy. At this time, he's going to eat and have these calories so that he can carry energy for the rest of the day. So I'm going to be prepared for that. Yo, you're not doing that. So your body gives a stress response. You start getting hungry because your body's saying, hey, eat because, I'm preparing for something you're supposed to do later and you're not eating. So you start getting irritable and what's your body going to give you a taste bud craving for? What you normally eat. Whatever you eat a lot of, your body's like, yo, don't you want to eat? Don't you want to eat that? And all you think about is that. And then you see blue spots, you get nauseous and shit. Your body's giving you the signals to repeat what you did because it has a rhythm set up. You break the rhythm, it creates stress because your body is now saying, let me pay attention to the new rhythm. So when you exercise, the back is meant to hold you up. Your arms swing, your legs walk. It's supposed to get you from point A to point B to do certain amounts of work. If the work puts more pressure on you, your body's going to be like, ooh, that type of pressure over this period of time will break the spine, break the arm, break the wrist. It'll cause this to happen to the eye. So the body's going to say, when they go to sleep, look for what they ate, look for materials to hammer and chisel them stronger. Put more pressure, put more bone into the back area and more muscle into the lower back because they seem to be walking around with a lot of weight on top of them. See? And then the body tries to carry that average. Now, remember, with great power comes great responsibility. So if you're going to be walking around in denser gravity, walking around with a bunch of heavy stuff on you, okay, your body got to chisel and hammer some stronger muscles, some stronger bone. But what happens when you're not eating the materials? It's weird. It's a weird backwards action. Your body's going to pull mineral out of your bone to make your muscles stronger and to fix any damage in your body. The next question is, what happens when your bones start to run out of the reserve bank? Because remember, if your bone is a crystal structure with a lot of mineral in it, and you keep pulling the mineral out of it, eventually the bone becomes hollow because it's a crystal structure. It's a lattice. It's a bunch of strings connecting together. And the more strings that snap and connect together from better nutrition creates one solid mass crystal structure that's very hard to break. But if you've just been taking from it your whole life, well, eventually all the pigment that's in there that helps you build new cells and new bone and new white blood cells and all that, you eventually run out of it. It gets real thin and brittle. Your body runs out of materials. Your cells don't turn over. You get cancer, osteoporosis. Your body gets weaker. You wonder why you can't get stronger. You don't take in oxygen as well. It's a feedback mechanism. That's it. So if you're going to walk around and eat more resistance from the environment, meaning you get hit a lot, you put a lot of weight on your back, you put a lot of pressure on your body, you need more nutrition to maintain it, and you need the sleep to keep the repairs coming. So proper rest, proper mineralization, and the bigger you are and the more resistance you take, the bigger that bone got to be, the bigger that muscle got to be, the more resources you got to put in your body. You need more sunlight, more calories, more healthy food. You can eat more unhealthy food, but again, now you're putting a toxin in. So not only is your body going to take minerals from your bone to rebuild from the exercise, it's got to take alkaline minerals from your bone to buffer the acid. So you're double damaging yourself. You're repairing on one end the muscle. The bone is being eaten away at because your body got to pull from the bone when really you're supposed to be working out, eating the nutrition so your body can say, hey, we digested all of that. They got tons of amino acids and calcium and sodium and all kinds of stuff that we can use to fix them back up. What do we do with what's left over? Put that in the bone. Anything too far over, pee it out, dump it out because we can't handle it right now. We'll get to that later if they need it. So bone gets denser, muscle gets bigger, but obviously that's at the cost of you got to eat more nutrition. So great power comes great responsibility. That's true. So yes, all versions of pressure. So if y'all somehow want to scientifically create a gravity machine, you step in that joint and turn it on 2 times gravity and you feel that weight go down on you, now it's time to start walking around and moving around in it. And when you feel like it's too much pressure, you got to step out, give yourself some rest. But your body felt the pressure, and the pain you're feeling or the soreness you're feeling is from the pressure. So when you go to sleep, your body going to be like, whatever that pressure was, I don't want them breaking under the pressure. So from the head down, we need to make that bone more dense, and we need to make the muscle stronger. So after a couple of days, you walk back in that gravity chamber. Now when you turn it on, you feel the downward pressure, but it don't press you. You don't feel bogged down by it. because now your body built up the structure to withstand it. Now what? Start working out in it. Make it become the norm. Now, once it becomes the norm, when you walk in there, you're fast in 2 times gravity. Walk out the gravity channel and start doing shit that you would do in normal gravity. You will run faster, jump higher. Your body will have all the proper preparations necessary to move faster in normal gravity now. That's how that moves if you just so happen to build that kind of machine and do it. So that's true. I don't have to argue with somebody about that. That's obviously true because it works in the gym. In the gym, you create artificial gravity every time you put weight over your head and you try and walk around with it. That's it. It's just hard to make that even around the body like gravity can. Gravity will put that pressure evenly on your body as a standing up, walking tall kind of person. In the gym, we're in all kinds of, you're in a bench press position. That's just saying how well can I push something off of me? Or how well, if I'm standing up, can I push someone away from me, right? But the moment I take your arms, if you try and push me straight, if I were to go like that and deflect your arms to the side, you don't bench 400 pounds off center. So once I cut your arms out of the mid position, those support muscles cannot bench 400. It only benches 400 in a linear position. You only squat 800 in a linear position, down and up. So if I try and jump on top of you on an angle, you don't squat 800 pounds to the left. Your back ain't strong enough on that angle. It's only strong enough going straight up and down. So even though you're stronger, you can't withstand that type of pressure. In gravity, you carrying that weight and it's evenly distributed. You turn left, right, forward, back, the whole room's gravity is still pressing down on you. So now you work all the accessory muscles. And the accessory muscles is what makes you overall strong. How come this guy is the size of Zangief for the Hulk and he can run as fast as Usain Bolt? Because everything was developed equally. But to be that big, oh, the nutrition is ridiculous. The amount of nutrition needed is ridiculous. All right, Story of the Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist. Let the music play. Checkmate. We're just playing a little catch up. I'll be rapping and not catching up to the comments. Nikon P1000 camera. Yep, that's the one everybody was using in the flat Earth arguments. Everyone kept saying when you look over the horizon, people disappear. So they took that Nikon joint and they found 2 even surfaces, right? And they would shoot across the river. And it was like when I zoomed all the way in, all of a sudden I could see the people on the street. So I thought that made the argument fun. That was back when I used to listen just to hear people go back and forth with their points. Was never a fan of the whole it's flat thing. That was never my thing. But when people would make good points, it would make me stick around for the arguments. I always thought that was funny. Because at the end of the day, unless one of us like maybe makes their own drone and flies it up out of the atmosphere and starts looking around, that's possible, but nobody does it. Because if you make a drone, you got to have a way to communicate with it and for all the materials to make it through the atmosphere and not burn up. So when you learn that kind of science and then you put together a small drone, you just shoot that drone up there. Or you could be like the neighborhood connect for NASA, right? Like, yeah, I found out how to get a connect to NASA. I'm going to hop in one of the rockets, fly on up there, take pictures, show y'all what I saw, come back down and be like, yo, it's flat or it's round. Like you can go up there and figure it out yourself. But if we ain't got nobody doing that, it's all entertainment. Let's see. Mother Nature reigns, as always. Man can work to control it. Man can work to control Mother Nature. And I understand it. I understand what they're aiming for. Learn how to control, have power, and all that stuff. I get it. Is it acceptable? That's a different story. I'm just saying I get it. People just want to master things. Children do it too. Children mess with stuff when they're young. The scientists who are messing with nature are just the same as the little kids who would mess with things in the house parents told them not to because they were curious. It's the same thing. You got to take people at who they are. Muscle memory. Jedi mind tricks on health discipline is something. Yep. CBD time. What else we got? CrossFit training. That's a part of it. Yeah. You say CrossFit, circuit, calisthenics. They got different names for it. Calisthenics is the originator. 100-pound weight vests. They simulate a gravity machine pretty well. That's true. Yeah, the Milo principle. Yeah, you're right about that. It does get weighted vests do simulate the gravity principle pretty well. The only difficult part is the vest doesn't simulate it on your head and your neck. It simulates it on your shoulders and down. And some people call that neck. And I'm like, the shoulders are attached to the neck, but feeling pressure downward from the head to the top of the neck That's not included in wearing the weighted vest. Not even if you flip upside down, because now you're inverting the gravity, right? Your body's feeling it from the chin down, into the head instead of from the head into the chin. So overall, full coordination has to be total gravity field. You can get close to simulating it, but not like actual gravity. Because in actual gravity, it's all around you. You can rotate your arms, rotate your fingers, your hand, your body. You can break dance. The pressure is going to apply equally across the board. With a weighted vest, it's in the center region. So you angle left, you're talking about the weight being distributed from the waist to the neck, up to the neck, sideways. Whereas with gravity, if you do a cartwheel, you feel it. If you turn sideways, you feel it all the way across the body sideways. So it's weight distribution is what it's going to be. But if you put the weighted vest on, yeah, that's a good way to give your body a certain amount of resistance. But remember, it's resistance to full body movement, like running. But the hand alone, it's not going to have any resistance if you're moving your hand by yourself. So it won't, it's distributive. So flat like a pizza pie. I always thought that was a funny comment to make. Like, yo, you think we a dish floating around? I can't get down with that. But all right, have at it until somebody gives us like flat proof, have at it. I was better with the globe theory, right? Like we're living on the flat portion, but above us is the firmament and below is the crust. Like I was more down with that. I'm not saying that that's what I agree with, but that was a better argument because now you're talking about something round with a flat dish in the middle with something below and something above. But then, of course, people are going to keep asking you, where's the edge? See what I mean? And I remember I never kept following that argument, but they kept saying the edge is the places where they're telling you they don't want you to go. And then you got to look at airplane routes. Like, does the airplanes fly to the closest way to something, or does it always go in the same direction and stuff like that? The last interesting video I saw, which I never saw it again after I first saw it, somebody posted a video online where this guy was flying up in the atmosphere and he was looking down like at the sun. It was weird. He was pointing at it like, look, it's like below me. Like, look, it's right there. But it's not like you could see it. It was still a ball of light. You couldn't tell because of the glow. You couldn't tell if it was round or you couldn't see anything. You just saw the glow, but the way dude had his plane angled, it was like it was below him and it was funny as hell. And I was like, yo, could never find that video again. Yeah, for those who see Black Voltron advertising, Marvin Burwell Photography, that's what I do there. So cameras, are developed after eyes. So I study a lot about the eyes. Um, the way pictures are processed, like when we take in visual images in our head, they're actually upside down and our brain flips them right side up. Cameras do the same thing. When you snap the photo, like if you were to take the lens off and somehow be able to look in to the camera, like through where it gathers the light, the image is upside down. And when you snap the photo, it flips it right side up. So it's similarities between the two. But for those of you who are interested, I do travel photography, events, weddings. I don't give a damn if it's overseas. If you want me to come there and you want to have me out, you just pay and I come out. And once I come out, I got you. Like it's not like I do this for like it's fun. It's my living. So I'm out there to look out for you like family. So yeah, you deal with the contracts and all that stuff like that. But that's just so we're both equal on both sides. But I come through, I got the cameras. I even carry my lights and video equipment in case there's other stuff to have fun doing. Sometimes when I do like travel trips, you might have the wedding on Saturday, and that's what I'm hired for, but you might be hanging out with your family on Saturday and Sunday for brunch or for a party at night. And I'll just, because I'm there, I'll show up with the camera, hang out with y'all, do whatever. So yeah, when I do photography, it's I have a website, so it's marvinburwellphotography.com, but you'll only find weddings on that one. You'll find more stuff if you go to my Instagram, and you guys are used to Marvin Health and Arts, which is at the bottom of the screen. The one that if you go to Instagram, there's also Marvin Burwell Photography. So you see where my Cash App name is. Just put Marvin and then space and then BUR. You'll know the photography page is me because it has a blue sky background and I have on a white shirt. So if you guys want, you can jump over to Instagram real quick, follow me on Marvin Burwell Photography, and you can see, like I tell people, like there's guys who want me to own a gym, but they never met me doing drawing and painting and artwork. And those who have would see why I do what I do. That's why all the art stuff, it helps. I get to travel more. I get to be more places. I get to meet more people. Bodybuilding and health can do that, but it's usually mostly indoor stuff. Like I'm gonna go meet a gym over in Dubai and Maybe I'll see one in Cali and go to Muscle Beach. So the beach would be one place. But with photography, I'm indoor, outdoor, airports, amusement parks, b-boy competitions, skyscrapers, helicopters. I'm in all kinds of stuff. So the health stuff relates to everything. The photography stuff is what I do. So, and this is why in Urban Nerds, I'm the art director and I like to teach art related stuffs. But because of my knowledge for putting complicated things together, kind of like what Inky says, he can take real complex science and put it together. I can take a lot of data and put it together too. But because I can only focus on what I focus on, I'm very good for taking the shell concept of a thing and introducing a person to it. And it usually gives them a good reason to say, okay, that's worth me checking out and going down the rabbit hole. So you guys see KT, Inky, they get to spend all of their time really digging into the science. Me, I pick up the breadcrumb trails that they put behind. And when I get free time, I go study the details on my own. And then I come back with my own perspective. I don't just take people's word for it. Like you notice, they all have a bunch of products. You don't see me promoting all of them. I promote the ones necessary for me. Like you guys should help promote the ones necessary for you. So that's pretty much how that goes. Okay. So yeah, with the photography, that's what I do. And you got to be around it to really see the pictures I take, see the videos I do, see how I help manage the set and all that stuff like that. Keep everybody calm, keep the personality high. It's just what I do. So yeah, check that out. If you guys ever need me, let me know. And if you call me for anything, mention that, I'll be watching you on Marvin Health and Arts talking about the health stuff with Inky and KT and all that, because I usually give discounts for people who follow me on the outside. And I know some of you guys, you send cash apps and you support me and stuff like that. And I don't forget that. So you come online and you say something and I hear a name and I know that's a support factor, I'm going to take that into account. So just know that all these things connect. It's not so much as always you giving to me, it's me giving back to you too. Not just the info, but in my actions too. Like sometimes I be trying to find some of y'all, like when I go visit certain cities, if I know you well enough, I actually try and see if I coincidentally I'm near you, and I try and find you and hang out and be like, yo, show me your vegan restaurant, or show me it could be just your favorite restaurant. Show me your favorite place to hang out, because y'all help me kind of adapt to the surrounding atmospheres that I'm in. So keep that in mind, like we don't just see each other on social media. Make sure that the family is connected outside of that too. Okay. All right, just wanted to get that out. Floating water isn't flat, correct. And the planet is surrounded by water. It's more amoebus, if anything. Like it kind of shift changes. So, but when people talk about gravity, that's spin. Oh, the gravity holds it onto the ball. Spin does. The atmosphere does. Like that's a whole nother complicated, well, not when you know it, but it's pretty different science. But just understand that we have a big iron core, and that iron core has a magnetic field around it. And as long as there's disturbances of any kind, the magnetic field stays expanded. But if you stop disturbing things, the magnetic field will contract and it'll crush under its own weight. So understand that the magnetic field, because of the Earth's sides, it produces a field outside of it. When it was created, it spiraled out and it stopped in a certain toroid shape. The inside of it, where the iron core is the opposite. That's where you get the hyperboloid. That's the hourglass figure cutting straight down the middle. So the magnetic field is always trying to pull in, but it's constantly disturbed and pulsating out. The distance it goes outward is what holds the shape. And this is why it's better to say that it's something like a sphere or something like a toroid, because the magnetic field is what's holding the shape of the Earth. And the shape being held in any magnetic field is not flat. And that's why I can never say it's flat. So go by the magnetic field shape, which is the toroid, which is the giant donut shape. You're not going to have that. Doesn't mean donut shape as in there's a hole in the Earth. The donut portion is there's a hyperboloid, a hourglass figure, a field cutting through the middle of the Earth. Those are your magnetic poles. That's where you go to those places on Earth and your compass is acting crazy. And there's weird ass phenomena there. That's where the donut hole, so to speak, is. It's not a hole in the land. It's a hole in the magnetic field, which causes the body to not, the magnetic field to not know which way to spin, because you're at the center point. And that's where you get that from. So that's my take on why it's more of a round and not anything flat. Is a cloud round? Yeah, it can be. It ain't gonna be like a perfect round, obviously. That joint could be all kinds of shapes. That joint could look like you know how your bushel of grass look like in the forest? Like it could just look like a bushel of grass. There's holes everywhere, there's shapes everywhere, there's corners and shapes and cuts and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, yeah. Got to do some. You got to research behind what people say. It's a shame that we're in such a world where we can't trust experts in things. But then again, we're multifaceted human beings. To be able to manipulate nature is one thing. That's where expertise comes in. To understand it to the point where you can question things and determine whether you can get down with it or not and still be factual, everyone can learn that about everything. You can learn principles about electricity, about weather, about food, to the point where a person who's really good at it has the ability to manipulate it. You can't manipulate it, but you can understand the math under which it can be manipulated. So you can't physically say this material, this thing, that thing, but you can say, okay, if that's moving in that direction, the opposite is obviously this. So somebody's bullshitting me. So we should all have principles under which to guide ourselves into whether we're being bullshitted or not. That's why when you're given new information, you got to look at how you perceive the world and see if that fits into the that 360-degree sphere that makes all your logic go in a circle. Meaning when you question something, you have an answer for it because things naturally push and pull against one another. The moment you find something where it's like, yeah, I guess that phenomena doesn't make sense anymore, so I got to check that. And that's where you go out on your search. Because if we knew everything, I mean, anybody acting like they know everything, it's kind of like, what's the point in being alive at that point? Like, what's to discover? The only thing you got left is things to do. And if you're walking around talking about stuff in a world that needs things done and you know everything, people are going to be like, well, your problem is what's wrong with you is you know how to fix shit and you won't. That's how they're going to look at you. So that is what it is. That's funny. Like, then I see Black Voltron's status right after that. Instead of complaining about the problems, be a constructive contributor to the solution within the Black community. And that's what we got Urban Nerds Worldwide for. And just like I tell people on the Urban Nerds Worldwide channel, this, even though they got the skin color wrong on this one, I do like this sweater. But this was created this can represent us. The same way you guys, when you get wronged at McDonald's, you just say McDonald's. You don't say the creator, the name, nothing like that. You say, I'm not going to McDonald's, and you probably won't go to that McDonald's. You go to another one. So you still patronize them. You just don't go to the one that you had a problem with. And you don't name the person you had a problem with. You name the building. So urban nerds can be such a thing where it's like, we are all unified as a people because urban nerds. I want urban nerds to be the symbol of us. So when you have a symbol representing you as a people, it withstands the generations and the test of time. And it also becomes what you make it. If you guys are in this live stream and you're good at engineering, plumbing, electricity, marketing, whatever it is, you can literally promote your business and just say at the end, oh, I'm one of the urban nerds. And let them know, like, it's for urban communities to help children who are disenfranchised in urban communities. But nobody's more disenfranchised than the African American community. So let people know that. Be like, well, I'm a part of Urban Nerds. We're a part of a group of people who are elite in our areas. And we're not scared to tell you the nerdy stuff about it. So when you're a construction worker, you don't just tell people that you can build a house. You can get into details and have a whole podcast on stuff like how to build a brick and the materials people don't know about. What makes building a house dangerous and not? What type of math you got to go through? That's the nerd side of what you do. And you can promote your business. Like you could say, like, I'm Marvin Burwell Photography. Yeah, Marvin Burwell Photography. Well, what makes you different than the other? I'm not too much different than other people. I have my own way of taking my photos, my own personality, but I'm one of the urban nerds, baby, and we represent excellence. See, now you promote yourself as a part of a group. And what happens is when that group's name get out there and everyone's excellent at what they do wearing it, people are going to associate that patch. When they see it around the world, they're going to be like, yo, I'm one of the urban nerds. What you do for a living? And then you start talking to them, they start talking to you. And every time you see that gear and that patch around the world, that's Urban Nerds Worldwide. So I can go to UK and see somebody wearing this and be like, yo, you down with Urban Nerds? Yeah, you know, I remember that joint started, Brother Marv, Brother George, and they put that joint out there. And now I'm representing that joint over here. And we got a group of people here like, yo, you want something to eat? My man's over here is a chef, and he an urban nerd over there. You see what I mean? We now have something to unify instead of just saying, I'm me over here and you're you over there, and we're competing with each other. No, we point one another out because the world is vast and we can find each other. And when we go places we never been before, we can have somebody to bring us in, unified by something that's positive. And that's what I'm saying. Put a pin in the Oscars. I know, right? Branding is everything. How you brand matters, and branding is fucking hard. I can tell y'all that. that's the reason why I don't have so much time to do a lot of what I really want to do when it comes to me live streaming, doing all this cool stuff I got in my head. Because every time I want to sit down and put together something really cool, I got to go back out and make some kind of money or do some kind of fundraising or something like that. It's all time is in the way, and time is created through money. So a part of that happening is, which is why Urban Nerds exists, is because I grew up with a lot of promising in my life, but I was also a part of that student loan shit that they started. So a big part of why I'm always running and scrambling all the time is trying to pay off student loans, because student loans is actually preventing me from doing a lot. Because when you're an artist, artists don't have that ability to walk in a company and be like, yo, I want 100 an hour. In order for me to make that happen, because the average photography gig pays like 12 an hour. They're trying to get it to 15, but inflation's so goddamn high, that ain't gonna do nothing for you. And I can get paid more than 15 in a photography gig. I usually can get up to like right now, one of the contractors I'm working for, the school photography, that's like 18 an hour. But I give them the time I'm willing to work for them because I like being around the students to see what's going on in that atmosphere, and the jobs are fun. So sometimes I'm not out driving doing Uber. I'm not out photographing a wedding. I'm not out photographing a party. I'm not out doing Urban Nerds content. But think about it. All that I just said eats time. So where money is created, I can now say, you know what? I don't need the contract for the school photography anymore because me and George are Urban Nerds. I'm fingerprinted and I can go into schools. So now I can link with more schools than just the local ones that I'm shooting at. So I can take that off the table. That frees up time because now I got money. Then after I do that, we could take the money and we can grow Urban Nerds more by creating more of a production team in the local area. Once we have the ability to correspond to all the emails we get and all the other stuff going on, someone to take care of social media, now me and George can just focus on travel, grabbing up these kids and building connections with other nonprofits and businesses that have the tools of developing the kids we want. And then our job is just to show up and be ambassadors to the whole cause. Go to new cities, go to new places, and keep drawing more connections while at the same time helping out and taking the kids that are local on these random trips. So it's like we're trying to find a way to centralize it all so that then we can move as decentralized ambassadors. And while we're doing that, you guys are in your areas becoming Urban Nerds too. And then eventually, me and George can pop up wherever we need to go because we've instilled the connection there. That's what makes it worldwide. And then we use that to create the content, and all that worldwide content gets funneled in the social media channels to say, all right, for those of you following us, when you go here, look for that. When you go here, look for that. Your child needs this, go over here. Your child needs this, go over here. So we use the social media to centralize the mind of it all. You see what I mean? We're the actions, the social media is the mind, and the people are the network. And the symbol is the representation. See, now you unify the whole body. But that starts by having, unfortunately, the capital. If we had capital from the jump, you wouldn't even see me on here most of the time. You would every time you see me live, I'd be somewhere doing something. You see what I mean? So it's tough. It's a lot of nonprofits out there. It's a lot of people marketing and going hard, and people who have capital going hard body. So sometimes you have the great idea, but you're missing, just a certain pieces of it, and that's okay. That's a part of the grind, right? So we have an excellent idea, and we have an excellent start. We got excellent branding, at least as far as our look. But now we need people to hear about us. We need to really put it out there. But we can't do that unless we have infrastructure, and that's why the first step you see us promoting the GoFundMe, because that's for infrastructure. Because nonprofits are not free work. You have to pay people. Like if I'm going to be sitting around doing a bunch of content from our travels, that content eats time. And I'm telling y'all, like one video could easily take 8 hours. So, and that's because it's a quality video. It's not like just put something out, because we've been doing that and people will tell you like, no, you need higher quality. So we're in the consultation circles and everything, but you always eventually run back into that capital issue again. That's just how it is. And that's okay. So everyone's doing what they can. You guys are here listening. You contribute. You hit the Cash App and donate you guys are doing what you can do. You're a group of people who do what you can do. We got to go also find other people to help y'all do what y'all are doing so they can do what they do. So it's a part of, we stack it, right? We do it as a group. If one person in here had a bunch of money and they had the heart for it, we'd have been out of that position. But that's not where we are. So we stay where we are and we do what we can. So that's that, and that's okay. Everybody got to do that. Yep, we all chasing these dollars. The hamster wheel of economic conspicuous consumption, trading hours for dollars, work, save, invest in order to eventually spend dollars for hours. Exactly. Yep. Way to put it, Black Voltron. Your low quality videos, then all you need to do is hit me up, Metallic. My job is to bring that quality up. We Urban Nerds, baby. That's what we do. And it ain't hard. If you do a lot of your videos in a single location, that's easy to teach. If you do it in multiple locations, well, then you might want to start learning what I do. And learning what I do doesn't take long. The only part I can't control for you is the composition in your head. Good videos and good photos have a lot to do with lighting and composition. I can teach you lighting and setup. Composition is in your own head. Now, if you sit still a lot and do interviews, composition's easy because I just point you one composition and just say stick to it. But when you're moving around and traveling like I do, I know how to be in front of a camera, behind the camera, and sometimes I'm in situations where I need to be both and I got to just go with the flow. There's nothing I can do. It'll be a quality video, not a quality presenter. But the presenter might know what they're talking about. That's up to them to learn public speaking and how to present and all that. That's totally different subject. So that's where we start pulling pieces together. So one person don't feel like they got to do too much. You said you put anything out? That's all right. You got to get started somehow, right? Peoples, I got to get ready to rock out. I got to meet up with George later. So if you're following the Urban Nerds Worldwide Instagram page and the YouTube page, you'll probably see some B-roll and things popping up within the next 24 hours because I'm going to be working with the kids, showing them some more video stuff and some Photoshop stuff later on. So stay tuned for that. I am reading the updated version of Inky's Melanin versus Diabetes. So once I have all my pieces together, and I'm very close, and it's not far away, I'm gonna hit him up. We got to set a date where we can get together and do a little live stream, talk some trash. Truthfully, I really want to get him onto my platform and then have him recast it through his because of all of the effects that I can put on mine. Like I can put like sound effects and funny clips that he did in the past and stuff on my live stream. And I like having access to things that give more quality to the stream because sometimes I'm in my head when I'm talking and I got a lot of stuff going on in my head. It makes me quickly forget points that I'm going to make because I try and focus on something that's extra hype. Like right now, I could be talking to y'all and be like, oh yeah, I could create a video like that. And just me thinking through that video makes me forget my point. So my mind be all over the place. And it's going to do that until I have the money to settle down and create time and get it out of my head. And that's everybody. I'm pretty sure y'all go through that in the chat. You go to work, even if you love what you do, you go to work and you get an idea for something and you're burning to get home. We used to do that with video games. You would get like a new video game would come out, like Grand Theft Auto, Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, Call of Duty, Madden, 2K. And you'd be so burning to do it that you just be at work, be like, oh my God, man. You'd be mad. You'd be like, can't wait till I get off from work. Go do it. We all go through that. We all go through it. Google me. You in on that. You going in on that flat earth. That flat earth conversation be having people going in. But all right, guys. Love y'all. Don't forget the advertisements is at the bottom. Marvin Health and Arts, down there at the bottom, right below. Which way? Right, right there. Marvin Health and Arts on Instagram, or you get the Cash App if you want. $ Marvin Burwell. Remember, Urban Nerds content. You should see some B-roll popping through between today and tomorrow. Stay tuned. Trying to link up with a time for what's going on with Dr. Inky because we got to get his study out there because I think the whole conversation on melanin and diabetes, this is a huge study. So let's do what we can. Keep the support going. Love y'all. Catch y'all in a little bit.